I was folding laundry on a quiet Thursday morning when my phone buzzed. I didn't expect much, maybe a spam call or a check-in from the library. But when I saw the name on the screen, I nearly dropped the towel in my hands. Ethan. My son hadn't called in months. We used to talk more when he was in college, before Chloe came into the picture and the wedding swept him into another world. But today, he called. "Mom, His voice cracked through the line. "You're going to be a grandma." I sat down right there on the couch, socks in my lap, heart suddenly too full to hold. "A grandma?" I whispered. "Are you serious?" He laughed. "Dead serious. Chloe just found out this morning. We haven't told anyone else yet. You're the first." My eyes welled up. "Oh, honey, that's the best news I've heard in years." We talked for a bit about cribs and paint colors, morning sickness and baby names. He even asked me if I still had the old rocking chair in the attic. Then came the part I didn't even hesitate on. He mentioned how their condo was too small, that Chloe wasn't feeling well, and that he was trying to fix up the guest room to make it a nursery. "But money's tight," he said, almost sheepishly. I didn't wait for him to ask. That afternoon, I wired $150,000 into his account. I told him it was for the baby, for their home, for peace of mind. That night, I sat by the fireplace in my lake house, holding a photo of Ethan when he was 5, missing a front tooth, grinning like he owned the world. I remember the sleepless nights, the way he clung to me when he had nightmares, the peanut butter sandwiches I packed every single morning for 10 years straight. Maybe we hadn't been close lately. Maybe life had pulled him in directions I didn't understand, but that call, it lit something inside me. For the first time in a long time, I felt like a mother again. And in that moment, I truly believed that maybe, just maybe, my son was finding his way back to me. It started with a sound. I just finished making a pot of tea and walked into the living room when I heard Ethan's voice. The phone was on the coffee table, still on speaker. I must have bumped something earlier because it had redialed him by accident, and before I could hang up, I heard her voice. Chloe. "Did she send the money yet?" she asked, her voice sharp. Ethan chuckled. "Yeah, worked like a charm. Told you the fake baby plan would break her wide open." My heart dropped. "She's so desperate to matter," Chloe sneered. "It's actually kind of pathetic." I stood frozen, mug still in my hand. My tea had gone cold. "Don't get soft," Ethan muttered. "Once she signs over the house, we're set. The insurance paperwork's already filed. Just need the timing to be natural." I felt the room shift around me, like the floor tilted and nothing stayed still. I wanted to believe I'd heard wrong, misunderstood, anything. But I didn't. That wasn't the voice of a tired son trying to make things work. That was the voice of a man plotting something. Carefully, intentionally. And Chloe, she wasn't just along for the ride. She was steering. That's when it hit me. That moment 2 years ago when Ethan insisted on taking me up that hill to see the sunrise. The brakes on his car failed that morning. I told the police it must have been a mechanical issue. I'd even apologized to Ethan for ruining the day. But now? Now I saw everything for what it really was. This wasn't the beginning of our reconnection. It was a countdown. I stood there a long time, holding the cold mug to my chest like a shield. And for the first time in my life, I admitted something I'd never dared say out loud. My son does not love me. Not really. He loves what I can give him. He loves what I represent on a balance sheet. But me, Margaret, the woman who raised him, she never really mattered to him at all. And that truth, that cold, clear, brutal truth, cut deeper than anything he could have said out loud. They showed up unannounced 2 days later. I was out watering the herbs on the porch when I heard tires crunch the gravel driveway. Ethan stepped out first, all smiles and easy charm, waving like everything was normal. Chloe followed, sunglasses perched on her head like she owned the place. "Thought we'd drop by," Ethan said, handing me a brown paper bag. "Brought you some supplements." Supplements. I nodded politely, letting them in. My heart was pounding, but I didn't let it show. I played the part. Warm, gracious, predictable. We sat in the living room, and before long, Ethan leaned back and said casually, with the baby coming and our apartment being so cramped, we were thinking we could stay here, just for a while. Chloe added quickly, it's really not healthy for me or the baby. This place is so peaceful. It'd be perfect. I just smiled. Of course. Ethan lit up, but I could see the greed behind his eyes. Then came the real play. Well, he said, scratching his head, if we're going to be living here anyway, maybe it makes sense to put the house in my name. That way I can handle taxes and repairs for you. Chloe nodded, syrupy sweet. You've done enough, Margaret. Let us carry the weight now. I didn't flinch. I nodded again. Sure. They looked stunned, like I'd handed them a winning lottery ticket. They didn't see the hollowness behind my smile. Later that night, I called for Toby. He didn't come. I checked every room, then the yard, then the road. His leash still hung by the door, his food untouched. Finally, I found Ethan in the kitchen, pouring himself a drink. Toby? I asked, my voice trembling. He didn't look up. Got rid of him this morning. Too old, always in the way. Just like that. 12 years of loyalty, tossed like garbage. I didn't cry. I couldn't. Something inside me collapsed so quietly I barely noticed it fall. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, and for the first time in my life, I felt truly alone. Not just without company. Alone in the way that breaks something you can't get back. It was the laptop that did it. Ethan had left it open on the couch, careless, arrogant, like he didn't think I had the sense to touch it. I wasn't snooping, not really, I'd just been tidying up, but the screen caught my eye. A browser window was still open. The headline read, "Can life insurance payouts be collected after accidental drownings?" My stomach turned. I scrolled. There were links on how to stage missing person cases in remote areas, articles on claim timelines, and a saved PDF titled Margaret _Whitmore _policy _2 m.pdf. I couldn't breathe. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the insurance office in town. The young man at the desk looked up, smiling politely. "How can I help you today?" I tried to sound calm. "I just need to check if there's any active life insurance policy under my name," he typed. His smile faded. "Yes, ma'am, there is." "Who purchased it?" He looked uneasy. "I'm not at liberty to say, but it's listed as a high-tier plan. Beneficiary listed as Ethan Whitmore." The blood drained from my face. I thanked him, walked out, and sat in my car for a long time before turning the key. He'd really done it. Filed the papers, marked me for death, all while sleeping under my roof, calling me Mom, eating food I cooked with my own hands. The lakehouse suddenly felt like a trap, like he was just waiting for the right moment to make me disappear. But what Ethan didn't know was I'd stopped being blind. I drove to the pharmacy, picked up gloves, a new lockbox, and a burner phone. That night, while they laughed in the living room, I slipped into the garage and found Chloe's toiletry bag. Inside was a small bottle, prescription-grade sedatives, half full. They'd planned something, and now so would I. I didn't cry that night. I didn't rage or break things. I just made tea, sat by the window, and let my mind go quiet. I was done being the victim in someone else's story. From this point forward, I would write the ending. Mine. The invitation came over breakfast. Chloe buttered her toast with a smile so bright it nearly blinded me. "We thought it might be nice to go on a little outing," she said sweetly. "Some fresh air by the lake, just us. You deserve a break." Ethan chimed in, pouring me a glass of orange juice. "Yeah, just a quick canoe trip across the lake. Quiet, private." The word private stuck like a splinter. I nodded, smiled, played along. "That sounds lovely." They didn't know I'd already packed. The night before, I'd prepared a small emergency kit. Burner phone, flare, my ID, and a thin vial of clear liquid I'd poured back into their own water bottle. The sedative they meant for me, well, they'd just be having it a little early. We set off mid-morning. The lake shimmered under the sun like it didn't know the monsters floating above it. I sat quietly between them in the canoe. Ethan handed me a bottle of electrolyte water, the exact brand he always claimed gave him mental clarity. I took it, smiled, and pretended to sip. Then I reached into my bag and offered them each a snack. "I made your favorite," I said, "peanut butter banana bars." They took them greedily, laughing like children. 15 minutes later, Chloe slumped against the side of the canoe. Ethan followed, groaning, blinking rapidly. He looked at me, panicked. "What did you—" I leaned forward, speaking softly. "You shouldn't leave your pills lying around. Someone might accidentally put them in your food." His eyes widened. Chloe was already out cold. I steered us gently toward the nearest dock, tied the canoe, and texted the sheriff's office from my burner. "2 people unconscious by Miller's Point, maybe under influence. Please send help." Then I walked home. They'd wake up confused, maybe humiliated, but they'd be alive. Me? I'd never felt more awake. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the porch alone, watching the moon ripple across the lake. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of my own son. He tried to take everything from me. Instead, I took back myself. They never asked me how they got back to shore. They didn't thank me, either. Ethan and Chloe returned to the house days later, looking pale, paranoid, and quieter than I'd ever seen them. No more sweet voices, no more fake affection. They barely looked me in the eye. That was fine with me. I gave them 1 week. During that time, I called my attorney, had the deed reviewed, the locks changed, and my will rewritten. I also hired a moving service, prepaid in cash, scheduled for the day after they left for a wellness retreat Chloe booked on a whim. I even smiled when I waved them off. The moment their car disappeared down the gravel road, the truck arrived. I boxed up every trace of them, clothes, chargers, handbags, Ethan's dumb golf trophies. Every last thing went straight to a donation center in town. Then I took a long bath. By the time they returned a week later, bags in hand and smugness restored, I was already sitting on the porch with a glass of lemonade and the paperwork in hand. "This isn't your house," I said simply. They both laughed, nervously at first, then louder, until they saw the documents. "You signed it over," Ethan hissed. "No," I replied calmly. "You signed an intent to transfer, never filed, never notarized. You were too busy celebrating to notice the fine print." Chloe's face drained of color. "You tricked us." I stood, walked toward the door, and opened it just enough to toss out the last envelope, the one with their new rental agreement. "It's time you figured out how to stand on your own." Ethan didn't speak. He just stared at the floor, jaw clenched. That evening, I made myself dinner. Nothing fancy, just grilled vegetables and fresh bread. I ate on the porch, alone, peacefully. Toby's leash still hung on the hook. I didn't take it down. Weeks passed. I joined a pottery class at the community center, started a herb garden by the window, picked up a book club. Sometimes Daniel, my late husband's nephew, stopped by to help me fix the old shed. One afternoon, he brought coffee and said, "You look lighter." I smiled, placing a new lavender pot near the porch steps. Maybe I finally am. For the first time in 67 years, I wasn't someone's mother, someone's wife, someone's servant. I was simply me, and that was enough. If you've ever felt like someone you loved only saw you for what you could give, not who you are, then this story might have echoed something in you. Maybe you've given, forgiven, and waited for someone to come back, only to realize they were never really with you at all. I know stories like these can hurt, but sometimes they remind us that it's never too late to take your power back, quietly, firmly, without needing revenge. If Margaret's story touched something in your heart, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had to let go of someone you gave everything to? Share in the comments. Your story matters too. And if you're still learning to live for yourself, know this: it's not selfish, it's healing.